Hello, everybody. Welcome back to For Real. Gee, these Wednesdays come around quickly, and because it's Wednesday, it means one thing and one thing only. It means it is News Moto Day, so the day of the week where Jeremy rides around Kampot, and I talk to you about the news in Cambodia. As always, we thank you for watching. There's a lot to get through, so we'll get stuck straight into these stories. So, the first one is an update about how Cambodia is faring in terms of COVID cases. And just today, there was an article to say that we've passed 40,000 cases. A total of 368 people have died from COVID in Cambodia. And today we had 693 new cases discovered. There was some talk in the news about 4 days ago that Phnom Penh may reimpose red zones if the condition worsens there. At this stage, I don't think anything further has happened with that, but we'll keep you up to date. In today's news, there was a story about all businesses in the capital being allowed to resume trading. A lot of markets have been closed over the past few months, so to have them back in full swing, a lot of people are really relieved about that. There'll still be sanitizer and temperature checks on the way in, so that's a good thing to keep those people safe. Some of these markets are in fairly remote places, so it's taking a little while for the word to trickle out to people. And in the first day after it was announced they could resume trade, they weren't at full capacity, but they're hoping that they'll get back to full capacity as people realise that they're allowed to trade again. You might remember a little while back we were talking about the outbreak that was in the casino in Kampot province. It's out in a city called Kampong Trak, and that city also is home to a shoe factory. And that shoe factory had 81 cases of COVID recently in the last, 4 or 5 days, I suppose. And there is a steady stream of cases in this province, but only a couple in Kampot town itself. We were a bit shocked to see that we made the Khmer Times news on the 13th of June with the headline, Kampot expands COVID-19 crematoriums. And the picture that accompanies is just horrible. It's two kind of iron, cages with smoke coming out of them and two people standing in full PPE in front of them. And the caption of the photo says, 2 corpses being cremated simultaneously. Sounds like a bit of a brag, doesn't it? Like, how many can your province burn simultaneously? Well, we can do 5. Oh, we can only do 2. As always, I'll put a link to all of these stories in the description of this video or maybe in the comments section. So if you want to have a look at the pictures that accompany, you will be able to do so. Poor old Siem Reap. They're not having a very good run up there. They're back under curfew, but this time the curfew is running from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. So the hours are a bit different to last time, but I guess they're thinking that it should be enough to stop the spread. 4 villages in Siem Reap town are currently locked down as red zones, and they are kind of to the west of the town centre and about as far out as the airport, so about 7 kilometres out, but below the highway, so south of the highway. I think that cluster has had kind of 30-ish cases. I'm not entirely sure though. One of my work friends lives out in that area and she's been telling me about some of the scenes that she's been seeing out there, and just heartbreaking what people are going through. Still in Siem Reap, there was an article about 6 days ago. Siem Reap authorities to start imposing fines on those who do not wear masks. They went to the central market and they fined people who weren't wearing masks, and they also fined people who are not wearing them properly. So none of this wearing it, down below your nose or around your neck or anything, still going to get a fine. Down to Sihanoukville now, they must be getting pretty damn thirsty over there. Their alcohol ban has been extended for another 14 days until the 24th of June. I'm not sure what the running total of days is that they've been on that ban, but I think it's quite some time now. There was an article a few days ago called Celebrity Visits Campaign to Attract Tourists to Angkor Wat. And it goes on to say that they're going to use 35 world famous celebrities visiting Angkor Wat to promote it. So I'm thinking, that sounds interesting. I wonder who they've got on board. I wonder how they'll get them in, given quarantine and all that sort of stuff. And then I read on and I realise it's 35 famous people from history who have visited Angkor Wat. So we got people like Charlie Chaplin, Jacqueline Kennedy, JFK, Angelina Jolie, Bill Clinton, Mark Zuckerberg, Michelle Obama, all sorts of people in the 35 names there. But yes, all historical visitors and nobody new to come at this stage. I was hoping there might be some interesting visitors to be seen around Siem Reap in the coming months, but no, afraid not. They've got the rapid tests here in Cambodia now, and they've just announced that anyone entering Cambodia is going to be subject to a rapid test. And that's if you come in by air, land, or water, doesn't matter. You're going to have one of those tests, and you'll still have to do your quarantine for 14 days on top of that. 2 days ago, the Health Ministry sent a reminder to the governors of the provinces, and that has met with a bit of disdain. One of the comments was, aren't these processes and requirements already in place? Why send a reminder? Are these not practiced, or are there little Napoleons in the ministry's department, especially at the entry points, who make their own rules to harass arriving passengers? Strong words there. Overall, a strange article, that one. Give it a read if you're interested. It'll be linked with the others. Cambodia rejects fake news allegations that China is harvesting data via Cambodia's Stop COVID QR code campaign. The Cambodian Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications has strongly rejected that report, and it's good to hear. I don't know what people think China has to gain by monitoring the people in Cambodia. It beggars belief, really. Very strange fear to have. There was some weird footage doing the rounds on social media this week, and it showed a group of young men kind of running across a bit of vacant land, sort of a grassy, bushy kind of block of land in Phnom Penh, so there are kind of skyscrapers beside it and around it. And it was supposed to be footage of Chinese nationals escaping from quarantine. It was impossible to tell from the video, but the police have come forward and dismissed that as fake news. It was a TikTok account, so there you go, that explains everything. We talked about the COVID numbers here in Cambodia reaching a bit of a record today, but the vaccination record has also reached its own record, and we've topped 3 million people being vaccinated. They're actually ahead of schedule with this. They were supposed to get to this number on the 14th of June, but it was a few days earlier than that. So wonderful stuff. And if they keep going, it's likely that they'll have herd immunity by November, they're saying now. What that means for people coming into Cambodia, I don't know. I guess they won't be making decisions on that until the herd immunity is reached. There's been a bit of heat about the situation in prisons and the number of cases that are in the various prisons around the country. So today there was an article that says the government prioritises prisoners for COVID-19 vaccinations. There have been reports that there are 5 prisons affected so far with COVID cases, and they are CC1 and 2 in Phnom Penh, Sihanoukville prison, and the one in Kampong Speu. There's a 5th one, but they don't say what it is. They say that they've vaccinated about 10,000, 11,000 prisoners, so I guess that means they're about, a 5th of the way there? The 3 millionth vaccination was administered to a 48-year-old widow, and she is going to be gifted $2,500. So every time somebody's vaccinated and they are one of those lucky people on the round million, they get a donation from the government. So it's kind of a good incentive, I guess, because you never know where you're going to be in those numbers. Cambodia is going to be chairing the 2022 ASEAN Summit, and there's word that vaccine passports are going to be one of the big topics of discussion there. Let's hope it's early 2022. A phone smuggler was busted with almost 5,000 high-end phones. It would appear that the smuggler was intending to smuggle the phones to Vietnam through a corridor in Svay Rieng province, and the aim of the exercise was to evade taxes in Vietnam. It goes on to list all of the models of phones that he had within his 500, or 5,000 I should say. And it also says the man and his phones have now been handed over to customs for processing. Quick drug story. 3 raids in Phnom Penh have netted almost 4 kilos of methamphetamine. They certainly use some strange words in the media in Cambodia. This next one, suspected drug user causes hospital mayhem. A suspected drug user ran into a hospital and caused mayhem. According to reports, the unidentified man was seen throwing stones from a street corner, after which he tried to enter the hospital. The security guard tried to stop the man but was attacked. He then forced his way into the institution but was stopped by a group of medical professionals who subdued him and were able to tie his hands and feet. The hospital staff called police, who later arrived to arrest him. When they tried to arrest him, he lashed out and struck a policeman on the face. Fortunately, the policeman only suffered a swollen face. In Phnom Penh, about 5 days ago, a police officer was shot in a condo. According to sources from the anti-drug department, while forces from the anti-drug department A3 and A10 were raiding the condo on the 13th floor, a number of suspects fired AK-47 assault weapons and pistols at police, injuring a police officer. It's pretty scary to think that people are getting around with those kind of weapons. In another strange headline, a mohawked moneylender slashes no-paying debtors. It's a really bad mohawk too, it's actually bleached kind of yellowy orange. When the people that he lent some money to couldn't pay, he pulled a paring knife out of his backpack and cut the victim in the middle of his head. He required 4 stitches. He also went after the man's wife and cut her on the back of the head, and she required 7 stitches. On the 11th of June in Siem Reap, there was an arson attack. The woman who did it is said to be suffering from mental illness. She's a 35-year-old woman, and the person's house that she burnt down was a 63-year-old woman. It was in the Slawkram area, which is north of the highway. You can imagine that some of those old wooden houses would go up very, very quickly if there was a fire. Now it's time for another only in Cambodia kind of story, and the title is Thieves Posing as COVID Patients Caught Stealing Phones. It says, male and female suspects were arrested by police after they disguised themselves as COVID-19 patients and stole around 10 mobile phones and more than 1 million reals. They didn't actually have any kind of disguise on, from what I can tell. They just went into the place and pretended to be COVID-19 patients. Because they got pictures of them in the article, and they don't look to be disguised in any way at all. Here's something you might not know. It's illegal to be a fortune teller in Cambodia. So fortune tellers have been detained for fraud and extortion. And this was on the 13th of June. 3 fortune tellers and magicians were arrested for cheating 2 women out of a total of 67.6 million reals, which is almost $17,000, I think. So apparently this woman's husband had gone off with another woman, and they were going to charge one of their victims about $10,000 to conduct a ceremony that would entice the victim's husband back from that woman. Reckon she would have been better off keeping the money and having a good time. Another big story that's been in the news over the past week, several different articles, is about the floating houses that are located on the Tonlesat River. So this isn't the lake up near Siem Reap, this is on the river section, which is further down towards Phnom Penh, and more than 1,300 floating houses are going to be dismantled. Some of the reports are saying that people are having only 2 days' notice, so people are coming and saying that they have to leave, and they have to leave in 2 days, otherwise they're going to come and dismantle the houses. It's incredibly sad because these people are very poor to begin with. They're certainly not luxurious houses, and the authorities are saying that the houses are unattractive and an eyesore, and they want to get rid of them because they don't like the way they look on the river. A lot of them are Vietnamese nationals. Quite a few of them are Muslim Chams from the south area of Vietnam. So yeah, these are not people that have a lot of resources, and they don't have any land or anything because they're in these floating houses. So take away their actual house that they live in, they have very, very little. Some of these people have been living in these structures for many years, like since the late 70s, I think some of the reports are saying. So it's not like they've just come and set up shop there recently. These people have a long-standing connection with that area. The Vietnamese government has called on the Cambodian government to look after them, so we'll have to see what happens there. Once again, check the links for the stories. There's some really beautiful but sad photojournalism coming through in particular relation to this story, so check that out if you're interested in seeing those pictures. A large shipment of PPE has arrived from Japan, so it's nice to see that aid is coming from a few different places into Cambodia at the moment. Staying with Japan now, a Japanese firm has asked to look into commercial cannabis cultivation in Cambodia. I wonder if they'll be looking at the area of Kampot, because we know for a fact that the marijuana does seem to grow very well in this region. The Phnom Penh railway station has been sitting abandoned for quite some time now, since they stopped the service that runs down to the coast, and they've converted one of the royal trains, to a cafe. So a lot of young people, the younger generations, going there for their Instagram photos and just to enjoy having coffee in a different setting. And it's really nice to see that a nice idea like that has taken hold and it's giving people a job and something nice to do in this time of COVID. In today's last story, a Camry collides with concrete. Driver disappears. A Camry hybrid car drove at speed and hit a paved divider. Funnily enough, called a pig nose in Khmer, as opposed to dragon's head for the yellow and black concrete, causing severe damage to the car along Monavong Boulevard in Phnom Penh. The Camry hybrid had a license plate Phnom Penh 2F6118. According to sources, prior to the incident, the car was driven by a man from west to east. The car hit the stone's pig nose at high speed for unknown reason, causing the front of the vehicle to severely damage the braking stones. Immediately after the incident, the male driver opened the door and fled the scene. The vehicle was measured and dragged by the local police force to be stored at the local office of the Land Traffic Police of Phnom Penh and was waiting to be handled accordingly. That's a bit of a sad Camry fail to end the news with, but there you go. That's a wrap of the news as of the 16th of June. I really hope you've enjoyed listening to it. It was a bit of a long one today, I think. Anyway, as always, we'd like to say thank you very much for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing if you've done that. Leave a comment if you've got something that you want to talk about in terms of either the ride that Jeremy's done or the stories that we've been talking to you about. Make sure you have a look at our links in the description. There's people that are YouTubing in Cambodia and all the other people that we follow, of which there are many, and some other interesting things that you might want to check out as well. Thanks again. I hope you stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.